Hey, what's up guys, I am Twiff and welcome to my first League Starter build showcase for the upcoming 3.18 Sentinel League. So the first character that I want to present you is a Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder. It is a build that I played back in 3.16 and I must say the leveling is pretty enjoyable for a League start. It doesn't require any specific items and it will allow you to finish all of the acts and push the maps without making any big investment. So in the upcoming clips I will show you some act bosses that I killed in solo self-found with this build to simulate a league start. All my gears will already be handpicked items and I will try to cover every important changes on the gems on the tree during the leveling process so that you know when to get the gems and where to go with your tree. So we are now at the end of Act 1 just before the boss and here is what your tree should look like. So we are rushing a first poison wheel and in this one we will take the poison mastery to inflict 300% increased damage with poison on non-poison enemies. This will be very effective for clearing, especially early on. Then we start to go towards a second poison wheel to cap our chance to poison as quick as possible and also get a bunch of damage. Now for the gems you will be able to get Poisonous Concoction as a quest reward after doing the Furgraves quest. You want to link it with volley support as well as lesser multiple projectile support. And you can also start leveling a void manipulation gem for whenever you can find a 4-link item. For my movement skill I am using Smoke Mine and also Withering Step to inflict some Wither stack on enemies. And lastly for defensive purposes I am also using a Steel Skin gem. So let's see how this first act boss goes. If you never played Poisonous Concoction before, you must know that this skill scales its damage in a good part with your life flask. If you read the gem you will see that you gain added chaos damage equal to a percentage of your flask recovery amount. So it is very important to always have your flask updated until you get to the best one at the end of acts, which is a Divine Life Flask. When you use Poisonous Concoction, it will also consume some charges from your life flasks, so early on you might want to have 2 life flasks to not run out of charges until we get more charge generation from the tree and ascendancy. As you can see, the boss skill is pretty easy and fast. We are at the end of Act 2 now, and the gems are still all the same. The only addition, and a very important one, is the Herald of Agony gem that you can get as a quest reward early in Act 2. Whenever you get it, you will reach the 100% chance to poison on hit cap, and it also boosts your poison damage. For the tree, I completed both of my poison wheel, and I also took the poison mastery 20% increased duration, then I took some life nodes, and to finish I took the field medicine notable, which grants you some life flask when you hit enemies no more than once each second, and in this one I also took the flask mastery to gain even more life or mana flask charges. So let's go ahead and kill this Act 2 boss. So as you can see, the kill is still very easy and I'm not running out of flask charges, which is a good thing to boost our damage. I am at the end of Act 3 and you should now be able to have pretty much all of the gems that you need after doing the library quest. I do have most of them in my inventory, but I am missing some sockets right now to add everything to the build. But I am on a 4-link on the chest, so I added Void Manipulation to the DPS setup. I also added Purity of Elements as my aura, and here you have the choice between Grace, Malevolence or Purity of Elements, and that's depending on your liking. And lastly, I added the Plague Bearer gem to help with the clear. As for the tree, I went close to the duelist side to grab the onslaught node to gain onslaught on kill, as well as some armor and evasion rating. This is pretty nice for the tankiness. Then I took some more life nodes here, and this primal spirit notable to get some strength and intelligence, which is much needed early on, and it also helped with the mana. So let's go ahead and do Act 3 bosses.
It is woman's purpose to tempt and try the will of man.
I'm not up to that just yet. My mana is gone.
Submit, heretic! Have you ever seen the true face of God, Exile? This world is an illusion, Exile.
It is now time for the Act 4 boss, and just before doing it you will get as a quest reward either greater volley support or greater multiple projectile support. So take one of those and buy the other one from the vendor. They will replace on your DPS setup the volley support and lesser multiple projectile support. And you will now have 9 projectiles compared to 5 before, and you will see a big boost of DPS as Poisonous Concoction projectiles can shotgun. I forgot to mention in Act 3 that I have done the first labyrinth of course, and for your first ascendancy notable you want to take Nature's Reprisal. It is definitely the best one for the early game with more damage and area effect. And for the rest of the tree, nothing too new, I went to the assassin side to take some more life, with life recovered on kill, which is very nice for leveling, and then I'm starting to take the last poison wheel. So let's go ahead and kill Malachi now.
Let us see if you truly understand what it means to be Nightmare. You are being selfish.
I'm not up to that just yet.
I gave my life. Gave me so much more. Nightmare is why are you so in love with death?
I am heading to the boss of Act 6 right now, and for this act I will not show the boss kill, but I would rather show you the clear of Plague Bearer. When you get a few gem level on this skill combined to the poison mastery to increase its maximum value, you can just start running through enemies and watch them die. It is very satisfying and very effective. For the passive skill tree I completed my last poison wheel, and then I went to grab some evasion rating and maximum life, and finally I went to grab some mana reservation efficiency to be able to play a second aura. So I am now using Grace as well as Purity of Elements. I am now just before the last Izaro phase of Cruel Lab, and I am doing it just before the Act 7 boss. So no big changes on the tree, I just took some more life flask generation, and as you are getting higher level you will see that your accuracy is starting to go down. So you can see I have only 89% chance to hit right now, and it is getting lower and lower. So I'm starting to take some accuracy node from the tree. I am heading to Acuity now. And for your second ascendancy notable, I would say here you have a bit more of a choice. So you can either take Master Toxicist if you want more damage, or you can take Nature's Adrenaline if you want more speed and attack speed. I would always keep the Nature's Boon for the last labyrinth, as it is mainly for utility flask charges generation. and we probably won't have decent flasks before like level 80 or so anyway.
I'm not up to that just yet.
It is now time for the Act 8 boss, and by now you should be able to have a Divine Life Flask, which is the best flask for the build, and you can eventually start using a few Alteration Orbs if you have some of them, to get a roll that increases the total amount recovered. So here you can see I have 53% increased amount recovered. For the tree, not many changes as we are only getting a few points per act now, so I took this Chaos Wheel and now I am starting to head to the Assassin side to grab some more life and also some chaos damage over time. So let's go ahead and kill this boss.
I'm not up to that just yet.
So as you can see, the character is doing pretty well, the damage is still very fine, and the life regen from the flask is just starting to go very insane. As you can see, whenever I take some hits, I just use a flask and I get all my life back pretty much instantly. And I will just quickly show you now a Blood Aqueduct run so you can see how great is the Plague Bearer clear.
My mana is gone.
This is now the last phase of Izaro in the Merciless Labyrinth just before I'm doing Kitava. And finally we are at Act 10 Kitava. You can now have a quick look at my items, and honestly they are pretty bad. I think you can hardly do worse at this point, yet it still carried me through the whole campaign with no problem at all. As for the passive tree, I am now heading towards Profane Chemistry, and then when I start mapping I will go on the top right side of the tree to grab Ghost Dance and some Hybrid Life ES nodes as well as more Chaos Damage nodes. So let's kill Kitava now. So the leveling went very well, I am happy with the state of the build right now. It is very enjoyable to play as a league starter, pretty easy to gear, and I actually didn't die a single time during the whole process. Well, only one time, but I was actually tapped out doing some editing, so that doesn't count, right? So I will now show you what you can expect from maps just after finishing the axe. So I just basically capped my resistances with the gear, I farm a bit of Blood Aqueduct to get some decent rares, and now I'm just gonna show you a map, and I will still need later to fix my gems and sockets, and also get some decent flasks, and then the build should be pretty good to go until red maps.
My mana is low. I'm not up to that just yet.
So as you can see, the build does pretty decent damage, it has a decent clear, and it is also pretty tanky, and whenever you get hit, just pop a life flask and you will be back to full life in just an instant. So that's it for this video, guys. I will now do a part 2 video where I will show you more content and also give you more information about what kind of gear to look for and what will be your goals to push for the first days of the league if you decide to play this build so that you are able to do most of the invitation and bosses in the game. I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe it made you discover a skill that not too many people play, yet is still very strong, especially for a league starter. It has a pretty decent scaling, you can expect to reach about 10 to 15 million DPS with decent gear, and Plague Bearer makes it very nice to clear maps. Please subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and if you don't want to miss any of my new videos, I would really appreciate it. Now I wish you guys to have a good league start, and I see you guys in the part 2 of this video. Bye!